समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया?
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
There is a view that politics and sport do not mix. That's not my view. I've supported boycotts before. So, yes, politics and sport have to mix sometime. But even given my views on boycotts, when I look at what's happening between India and Bangladesh and the mess that this whole IPL thing has become, I wonder, how did we let it get to this stage? It's not something that will work for either country, and I think India will ultimately be the loser. But let's just start with the sequence of events in case you've not been following them. The BCCI put various players up for auction for the IPL teams. One of them was a Bangladeshi player called Rahman. Now, many Indian teams bid, but ultimately Rahman was bought by KKR, the Calcutta Knight Riders. Fair enough, he was put out there by the BCCI, they bought him. That should have been that. But of course, it's never that simple, is it? Because the BJP politician who's previously made inflammatory remarks, joined the fray. He said that by choosing a Bangladeshi, KKR had let India down. And then came the clincher. KKR is, of course, owned by Shah Rukh Khan. And he said Shah Rukh Khan is a traitor and should not live in India. He should be thrown out or he should leave. Why? Because he chose a Bangladeshi. Now, at this stage, anybody in the BJP with a sense of responsibility should have told him, enough is enough. Don't turn this into a Hindu-Muslim thing. This is about cricket. But of course, there's a problem because they weren't willing to do that. And the moment this guy started talking and nobody stopped him, assorted other Sanghis jumped on the bandwagon. It was, of course, wonderful for them that they got to attack a Muslim country like Bangladesh, and even better that they got to attack Shah Rukh Khan, who has been a target of Sanghi anger before, because I think many Sanghis are outraged that so many Hindus, well, Indians of all religions, admire and adore him. So to be able to knock him again and again, to support people calling him a traitor, to suggest that his loyalties are not to India, was right up their street. Now, the BCCI, faced with this controversy, which snowballed because assorted communalists joined the fray, had two options. One was to say that what happened was completely within the rules, be high-minded, stay quiet, let the controversy blow over. It would have. The second was to panic and to say, oh my God, this is terrible, people are so upset, we should do something. Well, no prizes for guessing which approach they chose. They said that Rahman was out of the reckoning, that Bangladeshis would not play in the IPL. Once they did that, they set in motion another chain of events. The Bangladeshis obviously were very insulted. It's one thing if you'd said to begin with that you wouldn't choose Bangladeshis, which would have been bad enough. But now that you let the guy be part of it, you let him be chosen, and then after Hindu communalists go for Bangladesh and for Shah Rukh Khan, you suddenly say, no Bangladeshi can be part of it. So Bangladesh has announced its team will not travel to India for the T20 World Cup. It has said that in future it will not play in India, it will want neutral venues, and it has said that it fears that its players will not be safe in India because of all the Bangladeshi hatred, the hatred of Bangladeshis, that is. You've got to ask yourself what this represents. And one simple answer is that it represents a very, very familiar situation. Anything happens that allows communalists to go after a minority, they jump at the opportunity. When these communalists are part of the ruling party, they get a certain sanction. When the ruling party says enough or reins them in, then order is restored. This time, No order has been restored. The fray has gone on. And you have to ask yourself, assume for the purpose of argument that the player, the Bangladeshi player, had been bought by a team that was not owned by a Muslim, let alone a high profile Muslim like Shah Rukh Khan. Would this even have been an issue? Wasn't this just an excuse to attack Shah Rukh, to, by implication, attack all Indian Muslims? Bangladesh was just the pretext. Well, I think you know the answers to that. They're all quite self evident. Now, as I've always said, I don't necessarily believe that politics and sport are separate. I believe boycotts do have a place in sport. For instance, because the world boycotted South Africa, it was forced to change the apartheid regime. I don't think, for instance, that when there have been terrorist attacks, when the Pakistanis are sending terrorists over, killing Indian civilians, we should go and be buddy-buddy and play sport with them. So yes, I do agree that there are boycotts and there are boycotts that are justified. But what do you do now? Well, it's complicated because what's happening in Bangladesh at the moment is, I think, particularly distressing for anyone, especially for an Indian and for a Hindu. Hindus are being lynched, there's violence, there's a lot of anti-Indian feeling. It's something that makes all of us unhappy and is frankly a disgrace. And the Bangladesh government should have done something to control it. There's no sympathy there for them. But the question for us in India is, how do we respond? Well, the Foreign Office obviously has thought about this, and our conclusion has been that this will continue, it will stabilize maybe, but either way, there's no need for us to aggravate the situation. When Begum Khaleda Zia, a veteran anti-Indian and India hater, died a week ago, the foreign ministry sent the foreign minister himself to her funeral. There was actually no reason for him to go. We could have done lower level representation. But I think India's decision has been that we keep up the effort, we wait till things have settled down, and maybe relations will be normal again. And that's important for us because we live in a very complicated neighborhood. The last thing we need is another enemy on our borders, particularly when Pakistan is trying so hard to cultivate Bangladesh, and there are pro-Pakistani elements within Bangladesh. So India must tread carefully. We must express concern, which is genuine, for the Hindus who are being targeted. We should be concerned about the violence, but we should not do anything to aggravate the situation. We should try and maintain a high-mindedness. It's a policy that now lies in tatters after what the BCCI has done. Why has the BCCI acted the way it did? Well, there are many theories. We know for a fact that the BCCI had okayed these guys, the Bangladeshis, being allowed to be considered. We know for a fact that the BCCI, like most cricket associations in India, is political. Cricket associations and all sports associations are essentially run by politicians and their families. And we know that something as important as this, I doubt if the BCCI would have put a Bangladeshi on the list without clearing with somebody important at the center. Though the members of the BCCI are pretty important themselves. What happened, I think, is this. I think that these guys miscalculated, or they were surprised by the big uproar that followed. The central BJP leadership and the BCCI had a choice. Either they agreed with the people who purportedly support the Sangh Parivar and were baying for Shah Rukh's blood and going on with anti-Bangladeshi rhetoric, or they risk losing control of the public feeling. You know that old situation where, why are you following that mob? A guy is asked, and he says, I have to, I am their leader. I think that's the situation the government found itself in. And the BCCI, not wanting to be part of any controversy, immediately backed down, and they decided that no Bangladeshis would be part of it. Now, it's a familiar trope, isn't it? That you pick on a Muslim who's in a powerful position, or at least an important position when it comes to public opinion, who has the love of millions of Indians, and you find a way of saying that he has extra national loyalties, that he's a traitor. It's happened with Shah Rukh and Bangladesh here, but it could have happened to any popular Muslim. That's the model we have seen. Now, the government had to decide, did it want that to happen? Did it want that message to go out? Or should it have reined in its supporters? It clearly chose to let its supporters run riot. It also ran the risk, and I think people in Bangladesh are saying this, of drawing attention to how we treat our own minorities. People in Bangladesh are saying Muslims have been lynched in India. There's not just been violence against Muslims. In several BJP ruled states, Muslims have been made to feel, if not like second-class citizens, then certainly not the equal of Hindus. They've been targeted by governments, by police, by regimes. So Bangladesh is saying, we never said anything when that happened. Why are you getting involved? Whatever is happening in Bangladesh may be bad, but are you really in a position to point fingers at us? Now, I'm not going to comment on whether what Bangladesh is saying is right or wrong, but I think we need to know that we're also vulnerable. We're not perfect. They're not perfect. So what do? A boycott is uncalled for. Bangladesh is not exporting terror like Pakistan. It doesn't have a system like apartheid. It's just going through a very unstable phase. And yes, Hindus are being targeted, but Hindus have lived more or less in peace with Muslims for many years, and there's every reason to believe this wouldn't last forever. So the logical thing would be to just have let it pass. Let either stopped it at the beginning or let Rahman continue to play. But that's never going to happen, right? We're going to always give in to communalists. We're going to risk our foreign policy. We're going to destroy the gains made by Jaishankar going to Dhaka for the funeral. We're going to let the mob dictate how India should be run. It's not something that any of us should be proud of. But this is one game India has lost.